Justin, there's a lot of guys on the roster that are young and getting their first taste of postseason baseball. You obviously have a lot of experience in the postseason. What are some of the lessons or messages you've been saying to some of those guys just throughout the last week or two?
Yeah, it's just about, trusting the process, staying in your routines. When you get into the playoffs, everything seems to be amplified a little bit. Media, TVs everywhere, interviews, things feel a lot bigger than in the regular season. So finding ways to slow things down and, like I said, staying in your process, trusting your routine. That's the whole point of the routines, right, is you've done it so many times that when you get in these big situations and these big moments and these big games, when you get into your routine that you've done over and over and over again, those are the things that help you slow down those big moments. So, really important.
Go to the second row on the far right.
Justin, you've obviously gotten a lot of praise for being a good teammate this year. Like, when in a situation like this, do you feel like it's your job to sit back and read the room and see who needs a pat on the back, or are you more of a sit back and let people come to you kind of leader?
I think with this group, it's so many guys that, don't think they have it all figured out. There's a ton of curious players in the room who want to show up and work and want to get better every single day. So those conversations just kind of happen naturally. You don't really have to seek anyone out. There's guys having conversations constantly, and not just with me, but with everyone in the room. So that's what makes this group so special, and that's why it's been such a fun year for us. Is the curiosity and the willingness to grow every single day is pretty cool.
Come down to Megan in the front.
You kind of touched a little bit on the whole postseason experience stuff. Just what have you learned about yourself leading into this postseason and just the role you've been in? Obviously, getting to hit leadoff today against a lefty, and just what have you learned about yourself and what it takes for you to be ready for these big moments in the playoffs?
Yeah, you just try to be as prepared as possible. Put your work in, be prepared, and then, like I said earlier, you get into your routine and try to slow the game down. I think obviously it's a little bit different this year. Not as many at-bats under my belt, but I don't think the work or anything leading up to it has differed at all. So,
Go to Steve in the second row.
Steve McGarvey, Associated Press. I know yesterday Ben Brown was talking to us and was talking about how helpful you've been because of all your postseason experience and helping people go through this. I'm just wondering, have you thought of it? Do you intend to stay in the game when your playing days are done? Would you like to be a coach or go that route when that time comes, or is that something you've thought much about?
I appreciate the question, but I'm a player, so we'll worry about that later on. You got to go play the game today. So.
We'll go up to Patrick, far right in the third row.
Justin, whenever we talk to Pete, it seems like he'll say something like, JT was saying this, or me and JT. Could you just describe how your relationship has evolved over this season, and the stuff you talked about broadly at the beginning of this session, like how does that apply to Pete specifically, of just being kind of a learner, a student, engaging?
Yeah, it's funny. My relationship with Pete actually started back in last November when I was hosting my foundation golf tournament and invited him out to play in it. And that was the first time I actually met him. And then that was before I ever knew I was going to be a Chicago Cub. So then getting the opportunity to sign here and be a teammate of his, I think we kind of had a head start from that outing. Obviously knew a bunch of guys over here from playing against him for a long time. A lot of guys in the room were former teammates. But Pete and I kind of had a little bit of a head start. And I don't know, I think we just naturally got along well right from the beginning. And he's one of those guys that has so many thoughts and questions and feels that he's going through at the plate. And I think between me and Coach Maley, we just try to be the best sounding board for him and make sure, he keeps moving in the right direction. There's so much talent and so much ability there that, as long as he's in a good place, he's going to impact the game for us one way or another. When you're a five-tool player, it's not just about hitting. It's not just about hitting big home runs, right? He does it on the bases. He does it in the outfield. So just constantly reminding him that, you don't have to go 10 for 10 with 10 homers to help us win ball games.
Go to Christina in the second row.
Yeah, Justin, you've had big moments in the postseason. It's been a couple years since you've been back, though, having played. It just, though you've had those big moments, there's still nerves going in today? Is there still, doubt, or are you confident?
Yeah, I think there's nerves going into every game. I think, if you're not nervous, there's probably something wrong with you or you're lying, right? So that's all part of it, though. I think if you didn't feel something, then maybe it's time to find something else to do.
Go up to Andy in the fourth row.
Justin, you mentioned Pete. How have you seen him grow on the mental side or the off the field side from when you first met him from the beginning of the season to now? I mean, we can see the counting sets, but how have you seen him grow kind of behind the scenes?
I think everyone's got to remember he's 23 years old, and I'm sure you all read his article that he just came out with. And his mom reminds him of that all the time, that he's just 23. So what he's doing in the major leagues and at this level is extremely advanced and impressive. And, as long as he keeps showing up every day and continually be willing to grow and get better, he's going to be a pretty dynamic player in this game for a long time.
Go up to Elise, staying in the fourth row.
In everything you've accomplished in your career, is this the first time leadoff in a postseason game?
I think in the postseason, yeah.
Okay.
I've led off before, but
Sure.
in the postseason, yes.
I'm curious, it's very much your personality, kind of be this leader by example vocally. So when you have this opportunity, and Counsell always says you lead off once a game, like that's all the leadoff hitter matters, but to get that chance to kind of set the tone, how you think about it and approach it, not suggesting you're going to go outside yourself and do anything different, but just getting that moment, that chance.
Yeah, it's pretty special. I think, when I found out I was doing it, it's kind of funny. If any of you guys have been around Milwaukee Brewers for a while, David Freese did this for us with the Dodgers in the playoffs a few years back. He led off and got one at bat against the opener. So not saying I don't know how long I'm going to get to go or how much run, but I feel good and comfortable knowing I'm in some good company with David Freese, because he's one of my favorite teammates I've ever had all time. So he did a pretty good job too. So hopefully I can follow in his footsteps.
So when you were at the podium the other day, you talked about kind of flipping a playoff switch in that last week of the regular season. I just wanted to follow up and see how you would describe that feeling, and whether it's something that you can just turn on, or if it's the moment that kind of brings that out of you.
この前話した時に、そのプレーオフに入ると、スイッチが入る。今レギュラーシーズンその最後の1週間で話しましたけど、それは実際どういう感じですか？それはもう意図的にスイッチをつけれるものなのか、それともその大事な場面の瞬間とかで勝手につくもの。いや自分でもよくわかんないんですけど、もう、レギュラーシーズンというものが終わって、一種こう勝ち残ったチームでこう最後こうやって戦うっていう形になるんで、なんだろうな、こう簡単に言ったらお祭りじゃないですけど、こう本当に勝ち負けだけをこう気にしてやれるっていうのは本当こういうところだと思うんで、どうしてもシーズン中だと成績があったりとかっていうので、少しそういう自分の成績のことも気になったりするんですけど、このポストシーズンだったりっていうのは一発勝負なんで、特にこう成績とかを考えずに勝ち負けだけにこだわってやれるっていうのもあるんで、気持ちが切り替わるのかなっていう形です。Yeah, I'm not sure myself. I think with the regular season, once it's over, it's just the teams that are left, and it's just a competition of those teams. And
I mean, in an easy way, it's like a festival almost. You know, you're just fighting and competing against the other teams that are left, and you know, it's regular season. You think about stats, obviously with the wins and the losses, but with the postseason, it's just that one game, who wins, who loses, and it's just stacking that on top of each other. So I'm not too sure. I would imagine it's just how that is of the structure of the postseason.
Megan?
Now that you've had a few postseason games under your belt, including your first road environment experience in an MLB postseason game, just how has the playoffs lived up to what you thought it could be like, especially on the road, and what have you learned about yourself over these last couple games?
そのプレーオフを初めて経験して、こうやってアウェーの試合も経験して、自分の期待する、プレーオフの環境などは、それには、今の経験はたどり着いてますか？それともなんかまた違うふうに考えてますか？
いやもう今の時点で素晴らしい経験させてもらってるなっていうふうに思いますし、もちろんホームであればカブスファンがたくさんいたりでより力をもらえますし、ビジターに来てもなんだろう、相手チームの応援がなんかこう自分を応援してもらってるようにこうちょっと感じる部分もあるんで、あんまり僕はビジターに来てる感覚もないというか、その応援も楽しんでできてますし、より今後につながるいい経験が今はたくさんできてるんで、よりもっともっといい経験ができるように、このシーズンもしっかり勝ってまたどんどん上に行けるようにいけたらなと思います。
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the experience has been fantastic. At home, you had your fans cheering you on. That was a great environment. And then, even here away, it still kind of feels almost like I'm being cheered on with like the away crowd. For me, there's not too much of a difference there. But it's been a great experience, and I think it's something that'll, I can carry on to the rest of my career. So hopefully for, this postseason, I can continue to experience it for as long as I can.
Go up to Elise in the fourth row.
Seiya will often ask in this game, like, what comes first, confidence or results, and then confidence late in the year for you when you start hitting, like, were you starting to feel confident before that, or describe, maybe the order, just what you were feeling at the end of the season till now with how you've been hitting?
その野球の中では、自信と結果どちらが先に来るか、まず自信がついてから結果が出るのか、もしくは結果が出てからそれから自信を持つのかっていう考えがあると思いますけど、そのレギュラーシーズン最後の1週間で、そしてポストシーズン入った今、その自信と、結果どちらの方が先に来ている感じですか？
なんか特に自信とかも別に特になくて、ただ単にこのポストシーズンを楽しんでいるというか、もう本当にこうみんなで最後勝ちに行くっていう、そのなんかみんなでこう頑張ってその野球をしてるっていう、一致団結してやってるっていうのがすごく楽しいので、なんか自信とかあんまりない、そういうのあんまりそういう言葉が今ない感じですね。
I would say I don't have any confidence. I think right now I'm just enjoying, playing with the team, together with the team, and, taking it each game at a time, and just really enjoying that moment. And yeah, I wouldn't say I have confidence there.
Come back down to Megan.
Yesterday, Craig was saying Shota pitches and shows so much joy on the mound, but that he's also a really fierce competitor. Just how would you describe Shota as a competitor, and just what it's been like watching him pitch?
その昨日カウンセル監督が山永投手は、そのマウンド上ですごい楽しく投げてるっていう、そういう感情を出してるっていうのと、そういう闘争心、戦ってるで、自分が見てる山永投手っていうのはどういう感じですか？
常にふざけてるっていう感覚ではありますけど、こう楽しんでる中にもこうスイッチがあって、いいスイッチがあって、こう集中するところと、ちょっとこうふざけるところだったりとか、すごくいいバランスでやってると思うんで、そういったところを自分もこう見習いたいなって思うところもたくさんありますし、はい、ぐらいです。
I'd say Shota, he's always messing around. Like, he's always joking around. But, like, on the mound, obviously in the moment, he's locked in. But then there's a good balance of him having fun, messing around and just enjoying the moment too. And I think that's something I do look up about him, is that having that balance, having that switch that he can turn on to focus when he needs to and really enjoy the moment when he needs to too.
Take one more in English, if we could go to Maddie.
Seiya, Pete was complimenting you on how well you've played right field recently. Just what has it been like for you to be able to contribute on both sides of the ball in the most important games of the year?
そのピート選手と話してて、ピート選手が鈴木選手のそのライトの守備をすごい褒めてた言ってなんですけど、そのバッティングも守備もその一番こういう大事な試合の中で両方の部分で活躍できるっていうのはいかがですか？
いやピートに褒められるほどそんないいプレーはしてないですけど、でも、はい、僕自身やっぱライトで守ってる野球やれてるっていうのはすごく幸せなことですし、なんだろうな、常にこうグラウンドでみんなと戦えてるっていうのはすごく嬉しいことなので、日々勉強ですけど、とにかく勝ちに貢献できるように、守備でも打撃でも常にいい形でやれるようにっていう準備は怠らないようにやっているので、しっかりいいプレーができるように今後とも続けていきたいなと思います。
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've made plays that really Pete should compliment, but I will say, just being able to play, offense and defense, both sides of the ball, I think, I've been very thankful for it and I've been enjoying it. And, I think being able to, contribute to the team on the offensive side as well as the defensive side, I think it really comes down to preparation, how much I'm preparing before the game, and hopefully I can do my best to contribute to the team on both sides.
Okay, do we have a couple of questions in Japanese? Come down here on the second row.
よろしくお願いします。パドレスもに続いてブルワーズも投手陣がすごくチーム防御率とかもいいチームだと思うんですけれども、ブルワーズのこの投手陣に対するイメージ、鈴木さんがお持ちのイメージ教えていただけますでしょうか？
イメージ、全員がいいピッチャーはもちろん間違いないんですけど、球も速いピッチャーがいればちょっと変則のピッチャーもいたり、右左ですごくいいバランスの取れたチームだなっていうふうに思うので、もちろんそのレギュラーシーズンの成績見てもらっても分かると思いますけど、やっぱり素晴らしいチームなので、なかなかつけ入る隙がないチームではあるので、そのちょっとしたその隙を、チャンスをものにできないとなかなか勝てる相手ではないので、こちらもそうできる限りミスを少なくして、相手が隙が見えたらしっかり叩けるように、そういう準備は常にしていかないと、難しい相手なのかなというふうには思っています。
よろしくお願いします。先ほどちょうど守備の話が少し出ました。長いシーズンいろんなアップダウンがあるのはどの選手も同じだと思うんですが、9月中旬以降今まで、いい状態がバッティングでいい状態が続いているっていうことと、毎日守備で守ってるっていうことがフィジカル、メンタルでプラスに働いているというふうに考える部分はありますか？
DH で専属っていうか形でやるっていうのは今シーズン初めてなので、やっぱ入りも難しいですし、1年通してやるっていうのはなかなか勉強することがまだまだあるなっていうふうな思いではあるんですけど、やっぱり守備につけば今までの流れ通りあんまりバッティングのことも考えすぎずに、ある程度切り替えてやれているので、バッティングにも影響があるのかなっていうふうには思ってるんですけど、DH だとどうしても打撃での貢献をしないとなかなか難しいポジションなので、バッティングのことを考えることがたくさんあるので、ちょっと難しいなって思う時期もありましたけど、守れるのが自分の中では一番ベストなので、今はそこに集中して、タッカーが怪我とかもあるんでなんとかカバーできるように ていう思いではやってます。
Come down here to the third row.
よろしくお願いします。先ほどビジターでも相手の応援っていうのを楽しめてるっていうお気持ちの話ありましたけれども、それは日本でプレーしてる時からもうそうだったんですか？メジャー来ると、またちょっとブーイングとかっていうのも日本とは形違うと思うんですけれども、お気持ちっていうのはプロになってからはどういうふうに来てたんですか？
何回かそういうクライマックスだったり日本シリーズっていうのを経験しているんで、最初からこういうような心境になったわけではないんですけど、そういう失敗もありながら、こうやってやった方がこういうシリーズはいいなっていう風なところもあって、こういうお祭りじゃないですけど、そんな感じで、はい、もういいですか？はい、
Greg, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. In a playoff atmosphere, when you're maybe asking for less outs from a pitcher, can a solo home run be looked at differently than in the regular season when you're getting more length maybe out of a starter?
I mean, look, I think, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but I think runs are certainly feel like they're at a premium more in playoff games. It's a lower run scoring environment, so just runs in general, yeah. How they score is how they score, that's just how they score. Shota's giving up home runs. He doesn't give up a lot of hits. He doesn't walk people. Everybody gives up runs some way. That's how he gives up his runs.
Maddie, down in the front.
Craig, just with them going with an opener, what all were you weighing as you decide to put Turner up in the leadoff spot?
Yeah, I think essentially this is maybe this is a guy that I think is tough on left-handed hitters. And so, as you go through the game, you're kind of looking, is there a spot for Justin here? And we haven't found one thus far because there's always kind of been more game left and maybe at bat against the right-handed pitcher remaining that we didn't want to take Michael out for. But we can guarantee an at-bat against a guy and know Michael's still available the rest of the game. And so we're going to take advantage of that and use Justin's at-bat right here and then see what happens the rest of the game.
A few more for Craig. Anyone? We'll go all the way up top.
Craig, obviously a lot of the team has spoke highly of Justin, his leadership, but what have you seen of just about his ability at a moment's notice to be ready, whether it's pinch hitting or like tonight, being ready to start the game off for you guys?
Justin's got, he's kind of the godfather of playoff experience for our guys, right? I mean, he's got a ton of it, and there's no moment that Justin Turner is not going to be prepared for and ready for. Look, it's we're gonna make a lot of this at bats, but it's one at bat against a good pitcher, and anything can happen. But I'm happy Justin's getting this opportunity. He's meant a lot to this team, and it's a good spot for it. And he has impacted every single player on this team in a good way, absolutely. And this is the at bat. These are kind of the matchups that we signed him for.
Go to Christina on the aisle of the second row.
Just, I guess the latest on Horton's progress and what's sort of the plan for tomorrow's workout day?
Everything is going very well for Cade. We are going to kind of ramp up activity as we get back to Wrigley tomorrow, and then we'll know more. But this has been, I don't know what day the news came out. Sunday last week, so like 10 days, and it's been all very good news since then. And he's been pain-free. Every throwing session has been pain-free, and pushing it a little bit more. So we
we keep trying to take steps forward, and we'll continue to do that, with even more intensity as tomorrow, actually, in Wrigley.
Elise, fourth row.
With Shota and the idea that in these games he doesn't need to go as deep into the game, I remember with Cade you would talk about like in that Houston out and like amping it up when you don't need to. I know Shota's very experienced and very self-aware, but as he tries to use his stuff differently, was that something that he learned like from the last outing to this one, or any sort of conversation with him?
Yeah, I mean, I think look, when we say amp up the stuff, I think knowing that you might not throw 90, 95 pitches, we're asking for, that's velocity, right? But it at the expense of command, that's the balancing act here, right? And I think that's what Shota has to process, you know what I mean? But I think, we just tell him like you're not saving stuff in the tank for necessarily a full 95 pitches or 100 pitches of a game. Just make sure he understands that, and then he has to kind of process that how he needs to. Adrenaline will help you, no question about it. Adrenaline helps in these situations, but command is still just as important, if not more important.
Anything else for Craig? Bruce.
Was the decision-making for picking out your starter today any different from when you picked out Boyd? In other words, all the information and the groups of people that you talked to, was that any different this time?
No. I mean, it was Shota from kind of the time he came out of game 2. He was going to be ready to pitch in game 2 in the DS.